Hey guys, so I've got a new product here which I've just finished making from ChipsetRC. It's the police lighting unit, or the ML-3, and this is how it comes in the box. So we'll take it out and I'll show you how to use it. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it comes out. It has the same lid, but you'll notice some differences on the bottom. So this lets you control your head and tail lights because obviously they're included in the police lighting sequence. And then it also lets you include all of the blue lights which you'll find on a standard police car. So what we have here is we have the ground pin and the channel 1 pin. So the channel 1 pin, you just connect to whatever pin you're using on your receiver to control it. The voltage in and ground, that's for powering the unit. It can be anywhere between 5 and 12 volts. And then these are all your output pins. This is just a regulated 5-volt pin in case you want to have any other lights on your model just constantly on. This will supply them with 5 volts constantly. So obviously this, you might notice, only has one channel input pin. And that's because this can be paired with the other model lighting unit, and so I didn't want it to take up too many of your pins on your receiver or too many of your channels, and so it's been mapped quite intelligently so that you can control both your head and tail lights and your police lights all with one channel. So how it's done is, what we do is we split up the channel into 5 segments. If you can see what I mean by that is, if we look here, this, imagine this, if you can see this bar here, represents channel 7, and I've put it on this rotary knob, and at the moment it's at position 0, and as we dial it up you can see it moves across, and so we'll call this bit position 100. Now when this channel is between positions 0 and 20, all of the lights on the unit will be turned off. When it's between 20 and 40, just the head and tail lights will turn on. When it's between 40 and 60, we have half blues. This is where only a few lights of the blue, only a few of the blue lights turn on and just go like you'll have to have a look at the other video I've posted of the police car to show you exactly what I mean. But it's basically less intense blue lights for after you've pulled a car over, so that you don't have your full blues on the entire time. Then between 60 and 80, we have half blues and the head and tail lights. And between 80 and 100 we have full blues. Now you might find it quite annoying having to rotate through the knob through all of these every time you want to do it, but the best bit is that you can program it to have 2 switches controlling one channel. So now if you ignore that and you look at the bar above it, what we can do is we can have this switch which is weighted to only 20. What I mean by weighted is when it's at 0, it's at 0, and when you put it fully up, it'll only move the channel 20% of the full throw. So you can see here, it's currently at 0. When we flick this up, it only goes up 20. And the other one is at full weighting, so that controls the channel the whole way. So what we do is we put these both on the channel, so they both control the same channel. And if we have them both on 0, then you can see the channel here is at 0. So this means that our lights will all be turned off. Now, because this is only weighted 20, when we flick this up, our channel will only flick up 20, or it's actually weighted about 30, which is perfect, because then it'll put this right in the segment where the head and tail lights are turned on. So what this does is controls our, let me get that back to the right page, controls our head and tail lights. And when this is in the middle, you'll see it puts the lights onto half blues. And when this is full, no matter what the other one's doing, because it can't go over 100, then they'll be on full blues. So what we have is 0 blue lights, half blues, and full blues. But we can have head and tail lights on, and now if we want half blues, because the head and tail lights aren't incorporated into the half blue flashing sequence, so you might want to have your head and tail lights still turned on or turned off. So at the moment, when we put it on half, we just have half blues, and then if we turn on the head and tail light switch as well, then it'll put us between 60 and 80, so we have half blues and tail lights. So how this works is what it means is essentially we can use one channel but still 2 switches to control 2 functions. So we still have our headlights and tail lights turning on and off here, and we still have all of our blue light functionality here. And the reason you might think that full blues, well, there's no option for full blues and headlights. Well, that's because, again, if you watch the video of the demonstration with the police car, full blues incorporates the headlight and tail lights into the flashing sequence, because the head and tail lights will alternate to each side as the blue flashing sequence goes on. So that's how I've made it so it only uses one channel, which is great if you're only using a 4-channel receiver or something like that. And the best bit is that you can add this, or you run this one alongside the other lighting unit, so that you can still get indicators and tail lights and braking or reversing lights. Obviously you can choose on the other one. And what you can do is you can just wire up the head and tail lights to the same LEDs that you wire up them on the other unit. And then if they're turned on, they're on, and if they're off, because if both of these are, if let's say your headlights on this unit are turned on and they're turned on the other unit, it won't blow out the LEDs because they'll both be giving 5 volts. Because they're wired in parallel, they will not be giving 10 volts. They'll still only be giving 5 volts. So they won't destroy your LEDs. So they're fully compatible with the other unit. Anyway, I'll pop it onto the test unit and I'll show you how that works and how it all looks with the LEDs. Also to note, it does come with these full instructions explaining all of this, and obviously gives you your channel mapping as well and a pinout diagram for you, as well as some troubleshooting tips if you have any problems. Although I'm always available to be contacted on the email ChipsetRC@gmail.com. Anyway, I'll pop it on the unit and we can have a little look. Hey guys, so I've plugged it in. Please ignore all of this. This is just for testing the other units before I send them out. I just pop the units in here to make sure everything works. So I'll show you what I've done. I've wired up the input channel to my channel 6, which is what I was using to control it from my controller. And then I've put blue LEDs in all of the blue pins. This is just a bottom casing from it. And all the blue pins. And headlights in my headlight pins and red lights in my tail light pins. And I've got this to show you what it looks like on a model afterwards. So very quickly I'll explain what these mean. We have blues 1 to 4 written here, and then we have blues 5 to 8 written here. And you have, so obviously there's 4 pins on each. And this is because when we're in, when the blue lights are flashing, it essentially consists of 2 groups of LEDs flashing alternately. I had a look at what they do on the real thing, and this is as close as it gets, or pretty much identical. And so what you want to do is, I reckon, you'll want to have on the rear of your car. I've put blue lights in the rear LED wells as well, which you'll probably want to do too. You'll want to make sure that on this side you have an LED pin coming out of blues 1 to 4, and this side you have a pin coming out from blues 5 to 8. And that means that when they're all flashing, you'll have always one of these on. So it'll be going flash, 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 flash on each side. And if we look at the front, what I've done is the blues 1 to 4 group will all flash at the same time, and then the blues 5 to 8 group will all flash. So what I've done is I've put something from the group 1 to 4 here in this LED well, down on this bumper here, and over on this side of the grille, so that we still get good coverage. We get blues here and then blues here. So it still looks like it's alternating, but you still get blues on all the sides. And you can figure these out how you want when you build your model. I'll show you what it looks like in a sec. But that's essentially just what this means, and it's all explained in the instruction manual. Likewise with the head and tail lights, with these you'll want to put one headlight on each pin rather than wiring them both to the same pin, because they alternate. And likewise, if you wanted to have more than one headlight, then you could wire 2 LEDs to one pin and 2 LEDs to the other pin. Although if you're going to do that, then you probably want to choose the transistor option, so that you can use higher power LEDs or draw more current from each pin. Anyway, so this is what it looks like. I've wired them up to the channels as I showed you before. We can turn the head and tail lights on with this switch, and this is all using one channel. And then I'll just turn that off. And when we have half blues on, it doesn't light up all the LEDs. It only lights up 3 from each group instead of 4. And this is so that on mine, when it's only on half blues, the LED lights inside the lighting wells don't turn on. It's just these. It just goes on, off, pause, on, off. Obviously they flicker. I'll show you what I mean. So here we go. You can see. So what it then looks like is it's like a diagonally opposite. So it goes flash, 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 and then a little pause. And this is just after you've pulled someone over or something like that. Then you're going to want to have them on half blues. And equally, we can still turn on and off the headlights here, just like this, all still controllable. And then we can turn to full blues. This is where they all light up. You can see the head and tail lights are alternating. I'm not sure how well the camera will pick it up because they're so bright. I'll try and turn it sideways. You can see they alternate just so that, as well as so that when you'll have them on full blues, the real ones alternate. And there we go. So you can see that all works. And then obviously, because the headlights are being used, it then makes this switch redundant automatically. And this is all you have to do is weight this switch to 20, and this one, leave this one as full, and leave them to control the same channel. So we can then put the headlights on, so that when we go back to half blues, our headlights stay on. Or when it's on full, we can turn the headlights off, so that when we go back to half blues, they're turned off. Or do it once you're there. So yeah, that shows you the functionality of this on the bed, and I'll show you what it looks like in the unit very quickly as well. Okay, so I've got the model turned on, and if you're wondering about how I got the police bar to work, this is just a separate accessory thing you can buy, and I just plugged it in so that it turns on the same channel as the blue lights turn on, and then it turns on automatically. So as you can see, this one I'm using different switches, but we can turn on the headlights, and it also turns on the tail lights, and then we can turn on half blues, which look like this, and they don't turn on the roof bar. And you can see what I mean about it doing alternate diagonals, and we can still turn on and off the headlights individually. And how that looks on the back is like this. And you can still turn on and off the headlights. And then what full blues looks like is like this. You can see we have all of the lights working on the front. Let me turn that. And our headlights are alternating. Likewise at the back, I've got these on alternate sides so that when the blue light's on, the brake light's off, and vice versa. And then obviously the light bars on the top are working as well. And we can turn that back to half blues, or turn off the headlight altogether. So yeah, that's what it looks like on a model. And then you can combine it with the other model light unit so that you get indicators as well, and hazards if you want. You can still turn on and off the rest of the lights. And basically, with the two units put together, you can get a pretty full working setup on your car. And then you can just add a little siren and a toggle switch. And then you have the full setup. So yeah, that's what it looks like. Thanks for watching, and consider buying one. Thanks.